ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mondays Down South. I know, viewers, I know it's been a long time, but we're back and we're ready because football season is now upon us. I hope you guys all had a great summer. I know I can speak for Cy, Evan, and myself. We've been traveling quite a bit this summer. I went to the beach with Ev back at Memorial Day to kick off summer, and it's crazy now to think that summer is ending and football season is here. But guys, first of all, before handing it over to you, just with like overall news, how you guys have been, I want to do a joint MDS cheers because we deserve it. And I look forward to kicking off the podcast with you guys weekly here, at least until football season ends. So cheers, boys. And Ev, I'll kick it off to you. We had a draft last night, MDS conglomerate. Cy and Evan are on a joint team together. I'm also in the league as a competing team. Ev, what was your takeaway from the draft and any other NFL news you want to share?
Yeah, man, good to be back. Like you said, been a crazy busy summer for all of us, but nothing to get the mojo back like football season starting up again, so we can get back into the ritual and fantasy football. Fantasy draft season closes as the season begins. Like you said, had another good draft last night. Cy and I, with our co-own team, went back to the studs and duds auction strategy. Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb will lead the charge, and we'll see how it goes. It worked out well last season, but not enough to win a title. But looking forward to it. Otherwise, I'm just excited for the NFL to get started and kind of see people on the field. Let all the news and the COVID situations and the little nagging injuries kind of put all those behind us, and we actually get to see guys play and see how teams look compared to what we thought they would look like, and all that good stuff. So just excited for Thursday night and see TB12 back out there and get this thing going. Cy?
You guys say fantasy draft season is over. I am literally drafting while we are having this podcast, but do not be alarmed because I have done so many drafts that this is literally like me doing it in my sleep. Like I know exactly who I want at like each pick. I got pick 9 in this draft. I started off with Najee Harris. I didn't start off with Najee Harris. I started off with Nick Chubb, and I got Najee Harris on the flip side. Got George Kittle in the third. Got Cooper Kupp the next round. We're off to a great start, gentlemen.
Oh boy!
What about draft season? But this isn't going to bother me at all. I've done like 80 drafts already. If this doesn't show you how excited I am for football to start, I don't think anything else will. It's been so long since I've been on here with you guys, since we've been on here together. It feels really good to be back, guys. And I think football is really where we get excited and where we thrive. Not to disrespect our love for other sports, but I think this is our mutual connection. So I'm really, really excited to get the ball back rolling. We're going to have a lot to talk about, not just about football, but about like our approach to fantasy going forward, because I just think that's something that like we're all going to be doing. So I'm excited. It's that time of year. Let's just get started, man.
Yeah. And actually that's a great point, Cy, because the MDS team that I own, the chief editor team and the conglomerate team, Evan and Cy, we have very different draft approaches, yet equally as successful. I would put it. I had a better season I guess I had a better record in the regular season. I did go to the championship, but MDS conglomerate was not far behind. They actually scored more points than I did last season. But there is a different strategy. For me, I let a lot of the first round guys go, and then I start spending my cash on, let's just call it like late second rounders, early third rounders, and then in the fourth. That's where I do a majority of my spending. So, for example, I might pass on like a CMC for $80 in an auction league, but I'll go out and try to nab like DJ Moore for $17 to $20. Now, what's different about my approach and their approach is it seems like they go all out. They kind of lock in their 2 running backs, or they're like the 2 overall best players. So I believe they got Nick Chubb and they got Dalvin for right around $100, $105 or so. And then they use the remaining part of their $85 to kind of wait and then to try to get guys at value. So it's an interesting strategy. Let us know in the comments on what strategy you think is better. Honestly, I like mine because I do a lot of my picking and for third and fourth round guys, and I'll shell out maybe $20-$25 for them. But it definitely seems like there's a different strategy. So let us know in the comments what you guys think. We will kind of move forward here. I know we wanted to, in preparation of the football season, talk about one team that we think is really underrated and one team that we think is overrated. Ev, I'll kick it over to you, maybe for your underrated and overrated team. We can just do it in one fell swoop.
I've got two. I'm going to go underrated. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I kind of expected going into this season, after the way they finished last season and kind of the formula they put together, that teams would start to consider them like almost not far off, not on the Chiefs level, obviously, or even the Bills level, but in that top 3 to 4 category. And I don't know if I've actually heard that buzz. I've seen people go back to the Ravens and even the Steelers at times as potentially winning that division. I honestly see the Browns as third in the AFC behind the Chiefs and Bills, who have a leg up on them. But I love the run game. I think the defense should get even better. Baker played so well last year. I'm in on the Browns. I see them as the third best team in the AFC, and I just haven't heard that level of buzz on them that I kind of expected after how they finished last year. And overrated. Who'd I have a good one? I was actually talking about this earlier. I'm gonna go with the Chargers, maybe. I see the talent and the upside with the Chargers, but I feel like folks have already baked that into their evaluation of how the Chargers are going to do this year, as opposed to kind of more seeing that as projection. Because if you think about it, last year, especially towards the end of last year, they were a very average team, and they do get healthier on defense. And obviously Herbert has another year of experience, and things along those lines. But yeah, I'm just not completely sold on the Chargers actually being a threat out west yet. Done all of at once.
Go ahead, Zach.
All right, cool. I'll go first. So my underrated team, you guys are going to call me biased here, a location bias, but I really do think Carolina takes another step forward. And the reason I think that is of just over how well they've drafted the last couple of years. We're talking like building up defensive superstars really through their prospects. Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn seems like he's going to step in really, really confidently into this cornerback 1 role. They've got Dante Jackson on the other side. Linebacker Shaq Thompson. They've kind of got a lot of guys. And then they got the kid from Auburn, Derek Brown, who was the first round pick in 2020. I mean, this team has been drafting defensively in the first round, pretty successfully. And I think a lot of these guys are on rookie deals, so they're able to shell out cash, go ahead and get Darnold, who I actually, I'm not out on. It's going to be a big season for him, kind of a make or break. But we've got CMC coming back healthy. We've got DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson on the outside, and they got that slot receiver in Terrence Marshall in the second round, which was arguably the steal of the draft. So from a pro football focus standpoint. So I think Carolina does take a next step forward. I think they actually potentially could fulfill a wild card spot. I think that's like a 10-7 team right there. So, it's interesting. I think they could be good. And I think a lot of people aren't really talking about them right now. So definitely something to stay in tune for. I think one of the overrated teams is the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm not sure how good people think they're going to be. Some people have them pegged as like 8-9, 9-8 this year. I don't even think they sniff close to 500 this year. I think this is a 3-14 team. I really do think they are that bad. Their offensive line is atrocious. Derek Carr can only do so much. They lost a lot of their receivers. I mean, if you guys remember on Hard Knocks a couple of years ago when they were spotlighted for Gruden's first year, AB and Terrell Williams were their X and Y receivers, and they're no longer there. I love Brian Edwards. I know he's a Gamecock side, but I got to talk S about your boy. He's not a legitimate, fearsome number 1 receiver. And what did they do in the offseason? They spent all their money to get Kenyon Drake. I mean, come on, guys. This is ridiculous. Their defense is a joke. This is a legit 3-14 team, and I don't think anyone else can convince me otherwise. So, Sai, without further ado, I'll kick it over to you.
I'm really sorry about the ESPN.
Who'd you get? Who'd you get?
Well, I'm actually picking right now. I'm going to take Mostert as my flex because
I like that.
So far, I'm just going to give you guys an update. We got Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk, Nick Chubb, Najee Harris, George Kittle, and Raheem Mostert is my starter.
Is this a 12 team?
12 team.
That's nice. Squad.
So I feel like Sai's underrated team has to be the 49ers this year with
Well, I don't think they're underrated. I think
49ers he's drafted.
I think people know they're going to be good. The question is how quick is Trey Lance going to come in? Because it's really the ceiling is I think much higher with Trey Lance than it is with Garoppolo, and I think that's been proven as of recent with just Garoppolo's play and their lack of like blow it up kind of offense. They always are going to have a great run game, but the concern for me there is what are they going to be able to do with Garoppolo? I think they'll make the change by their bye week. So that's one thing that I'll say. Do you want me to start with my overrated or my underrated first?
Do your underrated first. I'm curious.
Okay, underrated. This is a tough one for me because I think I have quite a few. I think, well, they're not underrated. Like I can't say the Rams, right? Because I wouldn't even consider them underrated. But I genuinely think the Rams could go win the Super Bowl next season. Like I have full confidence in that. I think their defense. So maybe they're not underrated, but I think they're not.
I think that's fair. I don't think they're an overly
too.
common Super Bowl pick. So you have them going that far. I think that's fair as an underrated pick.
I genuinely think that they could be the best team in the NFL this year. And I don't stutter when I say that. Like, obviously, losing Cam Akers doesn't help. They'll make it work with Darrell Henderson. But that offense with Stafford, their offensive line is not bad. You got Kyle Shanahan, who's an incredible coach. Not Kyle. You got Sean McVay, who's an incredible coach, was an offensive mind. I think Stafford is going to fit right into playing with him. And I think, like, the way that offense is going to flow with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and even Higbee, somebody like Higbee, who people aren't really talking about. I think just with a guy like Stafford and as opposed to Jared Goff throwing the football, I just think that offense takes another step forward. We don't really need to talk about their defense. Like it may not be like super loaded, but their top heavy players are the best of the best. Like I mean, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey to anchor your defense. I mean, come on, man. Like, what are you going to do against that? I genuinely think the Rams go win the Super Bowl next year and be the best team in the NFL. They have the well-roundedness to do it. And I think McVay is going to be out there with something to prove too, because I think Jared Goff has let him down, but I think he's proven he got to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, guys. Like, let's not forget about that. Like, and this team is better now than it was then. Without even acquiring Stafford, then you add Stafford, and Stafford has a chip on his shoulder because his whole career he's been a guy that has put up numbers, but hasn't really had the pieces to win, right? Like they've had good offenses, like he's like Calvin Johnson, people like that, but he's never had that defense. And I think if the defense plays well with Stafford's chip on his shoulder, I really think that team could go win it all and genuinely be the best team in the NFL. And that might literally start week one. I mean, it really depends on how they establish a rapport, but you could see them being like a top three team all season. So I actually think the Rams and the 49ers are going to be so fun to watch because I think both those teams have crazy high ceilings, but I like the Rams more until we see more of Trey Lance. So I'm going to pick the Rams as my underrated team only because I think they're Super Bowl bound. Otherwise, I think anybody would say they're probably top 10.
Who's the worst team in that division, though? Like Arizona? Is that what you're on?
Arizona, and they're probably a 500 team. I mean,
Arizona's got better from last season.
Crazy.
My concern with somebody like Arizona is this is gonna play into my my other team, so I'm not gonna say anything. But basically, my concern is they didn't seem to address the areas of concern that they had, as opposed to adding to things that like they got AJ Green, right? And then they lost Larry Fitzgerald. So where's the net positive there? They lost Kenyon Drake and then added James Conner. Where's the net positive there? On defense, they didn't really improve much, and their defense has just gotten older. They lost Patrick Peterson, right? Or they didn't re-sign him, did they? I'm trying to remember.
They lost in the Minnesota, but they did get J.J. Watt.
Yeah, well, okay, but Watt is their net positive. There's no disputing that, and I think he's going to be great on their line. And I still think he's a top-end defensive end, but he's not the guy that he was. Like, he's not a game-breaker kind of player, right? So, that's also interesting to me. I think the DeAndre Hopkins connection is the reason, is one of the main reasons he's there. But I don't understand why, like, he didn't go somewhere else. Like if I'm trying to go win after his time in Houston, like if I'm trying to go win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to Arizona, bro. Like he had so many, he could have gone to the Packers. He could have gone to the Steelers. I'm just surprised he picked that team of all teams. But anyway, I don't want to delve into that too much. I'm going to give you my pick for the team that I think is overrated. And this is going to be extreme bias on my part, but the Tennessee Titans, dude, like I am really confused with their strategy because I think they have the potential to have an incredible offense. There's no disputing that. They already had a great offense last year, and obviously Julio Jones is a noticeable net positive over Corey Davis, assuming he can stay healthy, right? And they have Derrick Henry, and they have obviously AJ Brown. They lost Jonnu Smith, that's fine, whatever, but they have Tannehill, who played great last year. What did they do on defense? They lost everybody to a defense that was already one of the worst in the NFL last year. So you add Julio Jones and you trade a lot away to go get Julio Jones, an older version of Julio Jones, who I don't want to disrespect Julio Jones. He is one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game of football. So I don't take anything away from him. I just don't understand why they didn't address more areas of need, because if they added to their defense as a Colts fan, I would have been a lot more concerned than when they added Julio Jones. Not because I don't think they're going to do great on offense, but because defensively, what are they going to stop with who they have? Like, I don't, most people can't name more than like one or two guys on their defense because they just really don't have playmakers. And I think when it comes down to it, like, we haven't seen a team with that kind of strategy win in a long time, right? Like, this isn't like a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs kind of air raid kind of offense. Like, they're going to run the ball a lot. If you're going to run the ball a lot with Derrick Henry, you better get some stops on defense, because if your focal point is a run heavy offense, like, you better get stops on defense. And I just don't see that happening. I genuinely think they're going to have one of the worst defenses in the league. And I'm not saying that they won't still have the potential to be a playoff team, but I do think that their ceiling has been is not nearly as high because of the fact they're not well-rounded. And I'm somebody that when I look at teams and I try to evaluate teams and think about who's going to be the best, I genuinely try to put the onus on the well-rounded aspect of teams. Like, I like teams that have like a little bit of everything, that can run the ball, can throw the ball, can play a little defense, can get a stop when they need, and can rely on their quarterback in the fourth quarter. I just don't think all the elements are there for the Titans to have a high ceiling. They might win the South if the Colts can't get healthy, something like that. But I don't see them beating any great teams. The only benefit to them is the AFC isn't really that great this season, in my opinion. I mean, at least you have the Chiefs who are heading it up, and then after that, there's a pretty big cluster of teams that could represent that 2, 3, 4 kind of seed. So I don't know. That's my perspective. I could talk all day about Tennessee with my AFC South bias, but
over under 12 wins for Tennessee.
Under. I think they won. I think their max is 11 games, and I think they won 11. Actually, I guess with a 17 game season, that's a little. 12 is right around the.
About right.
If it was a 16 game season, definitely under. But even with 17, I see them winning around 11. And I have bias, though, because I like well-rounded.
I would say probably 11 would be my guess for them. So I would say 11.5 is probably your over-under number. So that's about right. But
will it shock you if they win? Will it shock me if they win 9 or 10? No. Seriously, their defense is that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's that bad.
The division is that bad, too, though. The rest of the conference, I think they'll find a way to put up a good number, but when it comes to the playoffs, you're right. Unless they magically figure something out on defense, they're not going to be able to compete with some of the other teams. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Well, we're already getting into our sports betting, so we might as well transition to the actual games. And this is where the fun really begins for us, for the fans, for everyone, when we actually start getting, some picks and spreads involved. Ev, do you have that spreadsheet ready? Because I feel like we can transition over to the actual games and give our predictions to close this out.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock with our little table, which y'all can see on hopefully Instagram. We'll have this posted with all of our picks, just so you can kind of follow along, and then we'll also have our weekly 3-game parlay, which you won't get from the episode, but you can get from our Instagram page. So, you guys ready to roll into
Guys, I think we parlay all 3 of the games that we don't pick, because that's normally what our success rate is the games we usually go wrong.
You got to have the downside hedge. You got to have the downside hedge on the.
We need to keep a running trajectory of how we actually did in the games that we collectively bet. Did we do that last year, Ev? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, we've got the data.
We've got the data. Do you have the data for us or not right now?
I have our pick stats. I guess I don't have it handy for our actual parlays though.
Oh, no worries.
They weren't too good. We struggled late. But
all right, cool.
We'll stick to
I'm going to kick this off. The Thursday night game, which is coming in tomorrow. Super excited. Football starts tomorrow. Sai, I'm kicking it over to you first. Actually, no, I'm going to start this one. I have a 3 piece to say about this game. The Cowboys, the Bucks. Just to give it really short. The Buccaneers are going to dismantle the Cowboys tomorrow. The spread right now is 8 points, or 8.5 now Tampa Bay's way. I think it's a 14-point game minimum. The reason I believe that, Mike Evans said in a joint press conference, we are way better than we were last year. And he said, I'm not even kidding. Like, no, like if no ifs, ands, or buts, we are a wrecking ball this year. If you guys thought we were last year, I've got the Bucks, I think it's like a 35-24 game. I think the Cowboys struggle offensively. It's to start, and they have to throw the way back into it. Ev, I'll kick it over to you.
I'm going to say that the Cowboys cover here. For no other fact than last year, we constantly got burned by the defending champs in the Chiefs, winning but not covering. And also just because it's the first game of the year, everyone's going to be hyped up. I feel like it'll be semi-competitive. But I do agree. I think the Bucks are even better than they were last year. And ultimately, they'll start bludgeoning people. But I'm going to say the Cowboys cover, though. But Bucks win.
You guys don't believe in the Super Bowl hangover?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying.
I was just wondering. I think it wouldn't surprise me if the Cowboys cover, because I personally think that they're going to have a huge chip on their shoulder. Like, Dak's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder. Zeke's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder. Like, all the receivers are going to have a huge chip on their shoulder. Their defense is not very good, which is why I do think the Buccaneers will win the game. But we saw how many points the Cowboys were putting up last year. They were just letting up about as many too. So if the Bucs offense is a little slow out the gate, I do think that the Cowboys can capitalize on that and make this like a one touchdown game. So I wouldn't take the Bucs as a short cover for me personally, but I do think the Bucs will win the game.
Okay.
So what's your against the spread pick?
Yeah.
Is that a cover or no cover?
Cover.
Cowboys cover, yeah. All right, cool.
Cowboys cover.
That's what, the Cowboys cover, or I guess the Bucks can't cover the 8.5 spread. I think that's size direction there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, cool. And we'll speed the next ones off. This is just, we were excited about that first game there. Cy, I'll start with you because I was supposed to start with you last time. Eagles at the Falcons. Right now the spread is 3 Atlanta's way. Who you got?
Spread's 3 Atlanta's way.
Mm-hmm.
At the Falcons.
Yeah.
This is so hard. I'm gonna take the Falcons. I think I'm gonna take the Falcons to win by a touchdown.
Ev?
Yeah, I think these teams are pretty even, so I'll go with the home team and say Atlanta covers.
Yeah, I think Atlanta covers as well. The only concern is Matt Ryan hasn't taken a preseason snap, just like Dak hasn't taken a preseason snap, but he's a veteran. They're both veterans. I got Atlanta covering comfortably here. Switching on over, Steelers at Bills. Great, fantastic AFC matchup. Right now, the Bills are favored 6.5 points at home. Ev, I'll kick this one over to you and then Cy.
My favorite strategy from last year, feed the Bills. Bills cover. Steelers are really overrated.
I think remind me of the cover again.
6.5.
The Bills are supposed to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
At home, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Bills.
I'm going to take the Bills too. I think this is more than a touchdown game. Switching over to the next one here, we've got the Minnesota Vikings and are at the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams that struggled last season that are looking to avenge those disappointing stats. Right now, Minnesota is -3 at Cincinnati. Cy, who you got?
They got Minnesota -3 at Cincinnati.
Yes.
I'm taking Minnesota to cover.
Same. I could see the Bengals winning though, just because. But Minnesota cover.
I've actually got the Bengals winning this one. I've got Bengals money line here at home. I think Joe Burrow does some amazing things, and I think the Vikings, they'll bounce back. But I think this is a Bengal surprise here. Switching over to the next game here, the San Francisco 49ers at the Detroit Lions in Ford Field in Detroit. San Francisco is favored 7.5, so a touchdown does not win this one. I can start this one off. I think the 49ers do not cover, but I do think they win. I think it's weirdly a kind of a close game. So I'll kick this over to you.
This is a tough one for me.
Mm-hmm. So it's the 7.5 that does it for me, not the 7 or the 6.5.
I'm going to roll with back on this one.
We're all in agreement on that one. I've got it being a pretty close game. Dan Campbell's debut in Detroit, but I do think San Francisco wins.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game, Arizona Cardinals at the Tennessee Titans, two teams that we kind of agreed might be overrated. Cy, we'll kick this one over to you. Right now, Tennessee is favored 3 at home. Cardinals at Titans. Who you got?
I do think the Titans will win at home, though. So I'm going to take the Titans. But I think it's going to be like, I honestly think it'll be even. Like, I see the Titans winning by like a field goal. So I'm going to take the Titans.
Yeah, I disagree with this spread because it says that Arizona on a neutral site is better, which I don't agree with. This is one of my favorite spreads just because of that. I think the Titans win and cover that spread. And I love the over, which is 52.
Oh, dude, I struggle with this one because I can totally see Arizona torching that Titans secondary. Like I really do. I think Julio's going to have some growing pains getting involved in the offense. I've got Arizona winning money line. I really do. I think Arizona's going to come out hot. I think Kyler's going to come out way more improved that people are even getting or placing emphasis on. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. Moving on to the next game here, we've got the Seattle Seahawks playing at the Indianapolis Colts. So we will let Cy go last here. Right now, Seattle is favored 2.5 in Lucas Oil. I can maybe kick this one off here. I think the Colts, I don't know, actually. Seattle's good. I've got Seattle covering, but I don't like that. I don't feel confident in that.
This is such a hard one because under normal situation, this is a bet on the Colts that would be really strong. Just because Seattle going on the road, they're not as good. They're implementing a new offense as well. But I can't pick the Colts with so much up in the air with the injuries, the people not practicing. And obviously I'm, one of the biggest Carson Wentz haters out there. So until he proves to me that it's going to work, it's hard for me to pick them against a good team. But I never like picking Seattle on the road against good teams, especially with such a low number. But I am going to say Seattle covers.
Tell me the spread again.
2.5 Seattle's way in Indianapolis.
I'm taking the Colts.
I want to so bad. Like this is arbitrage here for us. If Carson Wentz can just play somewhat decently, the Colts secondary is going to be locking down corners or wide receivers left and right.
We still got our run game. We still got our defense. And we still, even with Quentin Nelson in or out, we still got the offensive line. Our blind side is going to be a little bit of an issue with that game, but I'm not super worried about Seattle's pass rush. Like, I think we'll take advantage of the fact that they've also lost quite a bit of people on defense. Like, they lost KJ Wright, they lost people like that. So, I mean, it's at home, right? Like, obviously, if it was on the road, my all bias aside, I probably would be taking the Seahawks. But we play really well in Lucas Oil. I mean, Wentz coming back from injury is a little bit of a concern, but I mean, you can't. My belief is in Frank Reich. And again, I'm a holistic team person, and I really think that we have a good, well-rounded team. Our concern is wide receiver this week one. So we'll see what somebody like a Pittman can do. But because the Seattle secondary is awful, then that's what you got to take care of. But
yeah. Cool. Hey, next game, we've got Ev going last on this one because Washington is involved. We've got the Chargers playing in Washington, the Landover football team. And right now the line is even. It used to be -1 the Chargers way. That's now changed. So it's even. Cy, start this one off for us. Who you got?
You're going to have to go first on this one. It was a pick for me. So you're going to have to.
I've got Washington in this one. I think the veteran presence at QB, I really do think that's what gets it done.
Give me the spread again.
Even.
I'm gonna go football team.
I mean, I think it's a 50-50, but like LA going all the way across the country and playing at 1:00. I mean, first game of the season, it should be less of a factor, but that's always hard. And again, I think until the Chargers prove that they've gotten exponentially better, the football team ended the season as a better team. Both teams got better in the offseason, but yeah, I think it's a tough one, but I think Washington, the fact that it was -1 for the Chargers makes me love that bet just on that fact alone. But
yeah,
it's just because they're at home. Like if this was in the LA, I would pick the Chargers. Like,
see, but I think Washington's probably a point better on an even field, and they're saying that the Chargers are like 3.5 points better.
Yeah, that's a little much for me.
So that's where but I could see either team winning for sure. Anyway, carry on.
All right, cool. Jets at Panthers. Right now the spread is 4.5. The Panthers way. I can start this one off because I was talking about it earlier. I've got the Panthers covering comfortably. I'm actually attending this game. I'm looking forward to it. But Ev, I'll kick it over to you.
I'm starting to lean into the Bob Saleh, Zach Wilson situation, but I do like your Panthers being really underrated pick. So I'm going to go with the Panthers to start well at home and cover.
Wait, what's the number again? I'm sorry.
4.5.
Damn. I'm going to go Panthers, but if the Jets win this game, will I be surprised? No.
Really? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting how you guys are wishy-washy about this. I mean, when you take the 3-point home spread away, that's a 1.5 spread. I think the Panthers are 1.5 points better than the New York Jets on any field.
Yeah, I know, but Zach Wilson's nice, bro.
He just apparently he was just named captain. Ev gave that news, I think, right before we started the podcast.
Yeah, he's a guy, man. He's a guy. He's going to be a guy from the jump. He looked amazing in preseason.
Cool. Let's go.
Anyway,
let's go.
Yeah.
AFC South here, Jaguars at Texans. The Jaguars are a 3-point spread. Ev, who you got in this one here?
Yeah, whatever. I'll take the Jaguars to cover.
Ty?
Yeah, we'll get the Clemson guys first win. Jags.
Cool. I've got the Jags covering too, that 3-point spread.
The other thing I do want to point out, this rookie quarterback class is going to be so amazing. I think, and it's hilarious because there's so much prospect fatigue on Trevor Lawrence, where the fact that he only threw one incompletion, 200 yards, couple touchdowns in his last preseason game, albeit against a backup defense. There's so much prospect fatigue out there with Trevor. He's just going to be, I feel like, a solid start NFL quarterback from the jump. And then you got Wilson and Lance with insane upside. I just want to point that out, but I feel like
and Fields.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Mac Jones honestly looks good too.
Yeah, he's got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
who do you think starts sooner, Fields or Lance?
Lance.
You think so? I don't know.
I think Lance is more ready. Andy Dalton is so bad though.
I think it's going to take one atrocious game for them to be like, all right, we're throwing.
The Niners are just so good that they're going to win with Jimmy G, whereas the Bears won't be winning with Dalton, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll maybe be more tempted. So I could see it either way.
You guys ready for this matchup?
The other thing that I will say about that is Matt Nagy's job is on the line. Kyle Shanahan's is not.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to make that change if Dalton struggles.
Yeah, that's a good point.
His career.
That's so true. Well, AFC matchup here. This is going to be wild. The Cleveland Browns playing at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored 6 points in Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be rocking. Ev, start with you. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I love this matchup so much. I have Kansas City winning but not covering. I think it's a great game.
Zach, go next.
This is a tough one for me, man. I actually think the Chiefs are going to cover, but I think it's going to be 7 to 10 points, nothing more than that. The Browns, they shored up their defensive corners. They got that kid, Greg Newsome, who's going to be the second corner with obviously Denzel Ward covering Tyreek. It's going to be a great matchup. Can't wait, but I do think the Chiefs cover in this one.
Did you say it was 10?
6.
Oh, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Well, that's easy money for me.
Yeah, I agree. All right, sweet. Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored 3, surprisingly, even though they're starting a rookie at QB. Ev, or I guess Cy, I'll start this one off with you.
How much are they favored?
By 3.
The Patriots. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Moneyline Dolphins.
Dude, they were good They won 11 games last year.
I'm going to take Moneyline Dolphins as well.
Make it 3. I think this spread is wrong, although that also makes it a trap. Talk to my buddy Lou, big Dolphins fan. He also thinks this is a incorrect line, which again makes me think it's a trap. But I just think the Dolphins are I don't want to say significantly, but quite a bit better, especially with, like you said, Mac Jones, rookie quarterback against the Dolphins defense. Although I hate Tua, but whatever. 3 money lines it is.
Cool. Packers at New Orleans Saints. Right now the spread is 4 Green Bay's way. I think this is a tough game for Jameis. A welcome to the NFL moment for him. The Saints, they still have a pretty resolute defense, but they did lose some guys. I think Green Bay not only wins this game, but I do think they cover that 4-point spread. I'll kick this over to E though, see what he thinks.
Yeah, this is a tricky one because it's not in. This is the one that's supposed to be in the Superdome, right?
Yes.
So that throws the line off a little bit. So, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna say Green Bay covers. Yeah.
Green Bay. I got them
Wow.
winning at least a touchdown.
Okay. Okay, cool. Moving on over to our final 4:25 p.m. game. The Broncos getting a lot of people back from injury. Bridgewater starting, playing at the New York Giants in the Meadowlands Stadium. It's gonna be a really good game, to be honest. I think these teams are evenly matched. Denver is favored by 3 points. Cy, kick this one off for us. You got.
Damn, that's a tough one.
I know.
3 is a good spread.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Denver.
Denver to cover that 3 point spread away.
Yeah, I'll just say like I think they'll win by a field goal. So I'm with Denver.
I got the Giants coming out. I think the Giants win. I've got the Giants money line at home.
Their defense is good. Damn, you're
I
right.
have Giants money line as well, and especially if Saquon looks fully healthy and like all the weapons they added, the Giants are. Daniel Jones is just so awful, and their offensive line is so bad. But this is another ugly one. But yeah, I got Giants
I think
money line
Denver's
as well.
defense is going to be a lot better this year, though, guys.
That's what people think, but I mean, if their defense really is as good as they say it's going to be, then I'll subscribe to that. But Teddy, I mean, there's no way with Bridgewater you're more than an average offense, despite how good their young receivers are. Yeah. Anyway,
Think about the corners though that Denver has. They have Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain, and they're getting Von Miller back. I mean that, and Bradley Chubb's coming back. That is a scary defense. I'm not gonna lie. That is those are two very evenly matched opponents. I just think because of the spread, I would go the Giants' way. Okay, the 8:20 Sunday night game is the Chicago Bears at the Los Angeles Rams. I could probably kick this one off real quick. Rams win, and I think the Rams cover 7.5. Ev, what about you?
agreed. Winning cover.
I think they win by a touchdown. I think the Rams win, but I don't think they cover.
Do you think this is a Super Bowl team, but they can't beat the Bears by more than 7 points?
Just because I think the first week, there's some figuring out to do. Matt Stafford has not played a single game in the preseason. Like it's not like the week one they're going to come out and blow things up. Like they need a little while.
But he's used to playing the Bears, and he destroys them every time, I'm pretty sure.
I think you're underrating how good the Bears are. Their biggest problem has been quarterback, and I'm not going to say Dalton is going to make things better, but their defense has been rock solid for the last couple of seasons. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Rams, their first week playing together, because Stafford has not played with these guys outside of practice. I do think the Rams are going to be a much better team than the Bears long term. But my thing is, like, the Giants could be a better team than the Denver long term. But week one is what I'm focusing on. And I think it's just going to be a little bit of a figure it out kind of situation, because the Bears still have their Khalil Mack led defense to shove the ball up, up your nose. And on the flip side of that, David Montgomery was a beast last year. So I really think the Bears will hold their own, at least for week one.
That's true. I'm looking forward to Darnell Mooney breaking Jalen Ramsey's angles and then actually catching the ball this time. But we'll have to see. For the final game here, we'll kick this off to Cy first. The Baltimore Ravens are traveling to the Death Star and playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Baltimore is favored 4.5. Cy, go ahead and kick this one off, and Ev, you can go after him.
I'll take Baltimore by a touchdown.
I'm gonna get weird here just to have another upset on the card and say Vegas wins at home. I feel like they're a little better at home. Ultimately, I agree with you. When it's all said and done, they won't be a very good team this year. But I'm gonna say they surprise people in week one here.
I don't know how the Raiders are going to stop Lamar Jackson, and that 4.5 spread, that seems like easy money for me. I lean Cy's direction. I think Baltimore wins comfortably in Las Vegas.
And if they stop the run game, they're going to have to rely on Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is not as bad as you guys are saying.
It's not that he's bad. It's just like Derek Carr versus Lamar Jackson. Like, I don't know. I'm taking
Passing. I'll take Carr. No, I think we're good to go. Just looking forward to getting this thing rolling. Everyone, please, again, I know it's been a while, but appreciate you all sticking with us. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your other podcasts, Instagram, the works, and we'll have the weekly episodes back up and running. Keep an eye on our picks and look out for that parlay and follow along, and we'll see what happens, guys. But good to be back. That was Mondays Down South. We'll see you next week.